we are going to look at a very simple port scanner, and we're going to use Python, and we're going to use a socket library in Python to build the world's simplest port scanner. And one word of warning is that you should never port scan a website that you do not own, are not responsible for, wouldn't be the person to contact for security reasons, because, as I said before, this is exactly the kind of thing that somebody could construe as illegal activity, even if you're not actually doing anything harmful. And so here we're using the socket. We created the socket variable here, and we're saying result is the result of a connection on the socket. And this method here, it's just a way to connect to an address out on the internet, but it returns an error code instead of an exception, and that's what we want. We don't want an exception to break our application or halt our application in case we go too far and try a port that is not open. So here we go. So I'm using my own website, and I'm trying to connect to 8090. So as far as I know, 8090 on my website should not be open, because as we know, the standard HTTP port is 80 and the standard HTTPS port is 443. So those are the only two that should be open. And here we are saying if the result is 0, meaning there were no exceptions, no error codes returned. 0 in systems development is very often the success code. It might seem like 0 is nothing, so why is it success? But it just lets you do programming like this, where you check for a particular value, and if a non-zero return code, as it's called, is returned, that means that there are issues. But a 0 return code means everything is exactly as expected. That's an important one to remember if you're working on systems code or you're building systems level scripting, that 0 is very often an all clear. So here we go. If the result of the connection is 0, the port is open, else the port is closed. So then we run it, port is closed as expected, and we can try this with a few different ones. Port is closed, and that's good. But then let's try it with 80. That's our main HTTP port where normal HTTP traffic gets sent. There we go, port is open. And then if we try 443, port is open. That's what we expect. I want my website to be available on HTTP and HTTPS. And then if we try 444, port is closed. And that's really all there is to a very simple port scanner. Of course, you'd want to have more automation where you can check ranges without having to input it manually. But the basic idea is this: you just see if something's open or not, and just record the result. And that is a simple port scanner in Python.